So, in about next week, Friday Night SmackDown will be returning the draft. And I'm trying to conflict myself already that I've already been rarely watching this. So, what made you think fans ever anticipated you should be a SmackDown or Raw wrestler? Over the headlines, over Cody, the writing team, the guys going in and out the company, we're already going to do a spring sweep of a lot of wrestlers after WrestleMania WWE. You already try to conjugate any sort of focus over on the company after a massive buyout where you guys are doing a joint deal with the UFC that's been highly anticipated, and you still think SmackDown needs the conjugal ratings that they've been getting the same of since coming to Fox anyway. So it's either they intend to split the championships, even though Roman is still the most dominant guy in WWE, or they're intending to make a joint a new championship so they can get some younger guys from the UFC that's possibly not going to do well, so they can try to extend over the brand. Bro, why not just unify every championship and get it over with? Because there's already a minor focus over on the US Championship that Theory holds. Gunther just has good matches with it, with not that much anticipation over his storylines. The women's tag team titles are just irrelevant, just to leverage on the singles feuds, and yet they're still not garnering enough attention over on both SmackDown and Raw, and the women's singles championships. So it's only focused well when we don't have two tag feuds separately segregated by the championships. And I thought WWE was doing a good thing when they unified the tag titles, the world title, and I thought the same thing was going to happen with the women's championship. Screw it, let Bianca do it, or let Becky do it. Either way, it's going to bring over a new form of viewers where they don't have to be focused over on two shows, thanks it's already easy to catch up over on streaming platforms to even watch this stuff. So why is WWE so hand in hand inclined to still make SmackDown and Raw a thing when it comes to the brand? Why can't they just make two shows and make the core focus? Or at least make Raw the main show over the core focus, because there's already so much content over in WWE anyway that they're already regulated to only get your attention if it involves, past content. More match stipulations. Primordially and focus, because it shows WWE can do well when they focus on one thing at a time, like the Bloodline feud, like the Mysterio feud. Did it have to do with SmackDown and Raw? Somewhat. But everybody was already correlating SmackDown and Raw, already having the major storylines to begin with. You know why? Because both championships were unified. Or really did it matter? By the way, Big E, I heard, showed up. Big E showed up in the Michigan Panthers game for the spring football league called USFL. So that's the only newsworthy thing that happened. I am anticipating the Rhodes and Lesnar feud. As much as people want to try to be dicks. Or any newsworthiness involving Drew McIntyre heading to AEW after his contract expires. Since the only thing they've been doing is just dragging his storyline over with Sheamus for the past year. But these are singular-handed storylines, and they already have an issue over in a writing group, and you have the best segments involving Cody and Reigns, Mysterio. Why not just have all of the group in one roster, and just make SmackDown over as a B show? We already have less of the time, still a great hour block. Over on Friday nights that we can just make secondarily storylines while still focusing over on the main event. I'm not saying make it like the Attitude Era, but format it like the Attitude Era so it can still be consumable. I don't think anybody would really complain over if the brand split was done. Because already the Universal Championship sucked to the world title. No one gets that much elevated if they win the SmackDown or Raw Women's title. And you still call it just a SmackDown and Raw Women's Championship. There's already an influx of championships that we already got rid of the 24/7 championship. So why inflame it even more to think that we're only going to be caring about your show if it already doesn't matter if you go to Raw or SmackDown when we're still going to revolt the storylines that can be talked about around two brands? This dated format over with the brand split's already been dragged out to death, guys. And that's with the no excuse over from what happened over in 2016 when we tried to inflate the roster because of the injuries anyway. That we tried to rely mainly on the NXT talent. So, I'd advise that I feel like people would just care more if we had the brand split. Hell, over the past over a half a decade, Raw didn't have decent around consistent viewership since 2015. And it was already declining around then, but I'm sure people could still remember a plethora of decent enough segments while they were trying to get Reigns over. There was a major storyline always plotting in over in the main event scene. They had a major heel championship. People were still caring about majority of the main event to mid-card feud somewhat. And I still remember the tag team division. It's either the Usos and New Day or whoever the hell's going to get jobbed out. I don't mind the Street Profits, but imagine if we just deseparated the lack of depth already in most of the mid-card tag team and the women, that a lot more people would be involved in more storylines. Sure, it'll be more crash and burn, but it's better than just over to play it safe, hot potato, and then just drag over in the storylines anyway. You saw how when Triple H made that dumbass announcement over in the brand split, and barely enough people popped, because it really didn't even matter when we were watching Raw and SmackDown anyway. There's no correlating identity with the Raw and SmackDown brand that make it that I need to watch either one or two. And whether we've been ham-hocked with every excuse in the book, well, at least it gives the guys more time for a storyline, and then they ask for their release. The writers suck at their job, and that's why they have to deal with two tones at a time. Too much content over on the time with already lack of star power to write it with. So I don't want to hear this excuse. I really don't need to hear that the brand split is back. Thanks for watching the DC Show. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to hear more. I'm going to take my Tylenol and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.